On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Apocalyptic Raids by Hellhammer. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like to talk about it. And today we are beginning Black Metal January, the coldest, darkest month of the year with the coldest and darkest genre of metal. We're going back to 1984 with the first wave of black metal with a band from good old Switzerland. Mm-hmm. The most neutral of metals. Hellhammer was a short-lived musical project that put out this one. It's technically not even an album.
It's an EP.
Technically an EP.
Right.
Although it gets much closer to album length with the 1990 version, which is what's available now.
Right, which I had
which expands from 4 to 6 songs.
Right, I had it on vinyl somewhere. I got it for my birthday. I think it was my 17th or 18th birthday. I got it on vinyl from a guy named Doug.
Ah, Doug.
Yeah, yes. And at the time I didn't know who was in the band. I just thought this is a weird, crazy, how did this make it to vinyl situation?
Yeah. Yeah. The reason why anybody, maybe not the reason why anybody remembers this, but part of the part of the legacy of this band is that 2 of the members would go on to form Celtic Frost, right? Which, as far as in my opinion, as far as like actual measurable impact, and as far as discography and commercial sales, would go on to be a much more successful endeavor than Hellhammer ever was, considering this was the only official commercial release Hellhammer ever had.
It was influential.
It went on to be a very influential album in sort of first wave black metal in general, but especially on second wave black metal on Norwegian, Norwegian. Yeah. My brain got all confused. Scandinavian on Norwegian black metal. It would be a very big influence, to the degree that I believe one of the drummers of Mayhem, the original drummer of Mayhem, his stage name was just Hellhammer.
Yes,
as I remember. I was about to say as I remember correctly, and that seems a bit presumptuous,
right?
To assume that I'm remembering a thing correctly.
As always, I remember correctly.
As is usual. I mean, when have I ever not remembered something correctly? Besides all of those times.
Right.
We'll talk more about Hellhammer later, because I suppose we have to.
I can tell how you feel about this. And I knew right away how this was going to go over. I just thought, this is something I felt he should hear at least once.
Yeah.
And probably never again.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about Apocalyptic Raids a bit later on. First, I was going to ask, how are you? But I feel like, at least vocal wise, it's rather obvious to people how you are in at least one way. I'm better.
I'm better than I was. I've got a lot of my voice back.
Yeah. And you're not actively hacking up your lungs quite as much. So that is good.
I slept like 12 hours last night.
Nice. Yeah. That's, I feel like, twice as many hours as I have slept over the last 3 days.
Really?
I have not been sleeping well at all. I think it's just because I stayed up too late all throughout the essentially week and a half that I had off.
Yeah.
Like I had a lot of time off, and then, it was Christmas, and then I had a bunch of time off, came back to work for a day, and then it was New Year's.
Right.
And so I was staying up late a lot.
And it's ruined your circadian rhythm.
Yeah, my circadian rhythm is busted. So I think I'm just having trouble sleeping for that reason.
Sure.
I'm also distracted as we record this because there is a gigantic, not a cube, a rectangular, a rectangular prism, I guess is what you would call a box, perhaps.
Yeah.
Filled with bits of computer hardware.
It's a computer.
Yeah, I finally received.
Yeah.
After all of the trials and tribulations of me wanting to get a new computer, ordering computers and things going wrong.
Right.
I have finally received the exact computer that I originally ordered, which, you know, at a certain point I was like, oh, hey, maybe I'll get something better for the same price. And then that didn't work out.
Right.
And then I found the exact same thing that I was originally going to get.
Yes.
And now it is here. And I have not had time to set it up. It's just sitting on the table, and there's going to be some. I'm going to have to rearrange things in this room a bit. So when next we sit to record, it will almost certainly look different.
Mm-hmm. What are you doing with your old machine?
I don't know yet.
Selling it or?
I don't know yet because. Like I will, if I'm doing anything with it, I'm gonna have to figure out how to like wipe the hard drive on it, basically.
Sure, all the porn.
Yeah, to get rid of all the porn and also the classified documents.
Exactly. Yeah,
and all of those,
and the classified porn.
And the classified porn. Sarah Palin, would you believe? I don't know why.
Why would that be classified?
I don't know why it's classified, but it is.
She never held office like in a federal position.
I don't know. I mean, that's the weird thing. That's what makes it extra valuable. It's like, why did they feel the need to redact this?
It's redacted.
What did she do? Why, like I got it off some CIA computers.
Uh-huh.
I'm just getting myself investigated right now.
That's all that's going on now. Yeah. You just got on a list.
Hey, my agent that's listening to this. This is for legal purposes a joke. But yeah, so I'd have to wipe the hard drive and that sort of thing. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing with it just yet. I'm also figuring out, like, I'm in the process of figuring out how much stuff that I need.
Yeah. That's
actually on the internal hard drive versus on any of my several peripherals.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know how much stuff that is on the actual internal hard drive that I would miss if it didn't end up transferred to the new machine. I don't know. I think almost all the stuff that's installed on the internal is all just programs and stuff, which I'm gonna have to re-download and reinstall anyway.
Couldn't you just go ahead and mirror it?
I could, but I mean, I guess I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that, and I don't know if I want to be bothered to learn.
Okay. We just take in the hard drives. Taking the hard drive from this and the hard drive from that. Can you mirror this out of this? And they do, and then.
Yeah, I don't. Well, also, I'm fairly certain there is perhaps several hundred gigabytes worth of junk on that hard drive, because there was a period where, for no discernible reason, it just kept filling up.
Really?
The hard drive just kept and I had a couple of games installed on there, and I didn't realize I had these games installed on this hard drive. I think it was games that I had downloaded through
Steam or something.
No. You threw me off by saying the wrong thing. Cheese? I had it.
Was it cheese?
Shut up. The thing was Game Pass, Microsoft Game Pass.
Gotcha.
And for whatever reason, it defaulted to using not for whatever reason. I think for very logical reasons, it defaulted to using my internal hard drive, which was not very big.
Right.
And so like there were these pretty sizable games that I had left installed that were taking up a lot of space. And then something happened where it just like there was some file that kept on duplicating itself or some bullshit like that.
Gotcha.
Like I don't think it was even a virus or anything like that. I did some research. And it seems like that's a thing that can just sometimes fucking happen where you can have random shit that just starts getting bigger for no goddamn reason. Something happened and like I was in the middle of doing something and I got a message telling me that Windows C was full or some shit like that.
How big a drive is it?
I don't even remember.
10 megabytes.
Yeah, I think it might have been 500 gigs. But yeah, so I there's like at this moment, there's only like, I think 90 gigabytes of free space on there.
Really?
And the only thing that's installed on that drive right now are like programs. It's, Audition and Spotify and all the other bullshit. Like, so, I mean, I'm sure if that hard drive were to get like wiped, I would imagine that stuff will get erased. Whatever junk is on there might get erased, but I don't know that. So, I mean, the computer I had before that is still sitting right there.
Right. So you have 3 computers in here. Yeah.
So I ought to get rid of them somehow. I might sell that thing, but I don't know. Once I figure out what to do with it, I'll let you know.
So I don't own a computer.
Yeah, I might just give it to you, but...
Well, I'd give you money for it.
I don't care. It's 5 years old.
Sure.
I don't know how much it would be worth anyway.
I mean, the laptop I'm using because that's the only computer I have is my work laptop.
Yeah.
And that's from, I think, 1984.
Yeah. It was made by give me a second. Ingsoc Corporation. Is that from what's the
Ingsoc?
Is that 1984?
Oh, from the book 1984.
Is that the name of
Was that the name? I need to
organization? I want to say
from Orwell.
Yeah. I feel that sounds right. 1984. Mm-hmm. Novel. I just want to know. Can you tell me?
Need to know.
I don't think I'm going to find it before an uncomfortable amount of time has passed. So we're going to move on. But yeah, so it's sitting here and I'm just looking at all of it. I went and bought some extra RAM today. And
what'd you buy?
It's Corsair.
Extra 32 or?
Yeah, 32. Well, it ended up being the only 32.
Oh.
Because the way that RAM kind of works is like you can kind of only do if you can have one.
Yeah.
And then you can have two.
Right.
And then you kind of have to have four.
Right, because it's parallel.
Like three kind of doesn't go. Mm-hmm. You can do three, but then what ends up, as I understand it, because I also don't know, I don't actually know anything about computers.
So it already had one parallel.
It had one. Okay. It had one 16 gig card installed.
Okay.
And then the pack that I bought, $100 for 32 gigs of RAM with two sticks in it.
Okay.
Two 16 gig sticks.
Oh, so you need another 16 gig stick.
I would need another one. What I ended up doing is I went on Amazon and I just bought two more 16s of the exact same things I bought, because it's not necessary, but as it's recommended at least that they all be the same.
Right.
So I figured, fuck it. I'll just get.
So you're gonna fill all the slots.
Thing. So I'm gonna have 64 gigs of RAM.
Nice.
So it's probably not necessary.
Right.
It's almost certainly not necessary. But if there's ever I just want RAM to never be an issue. I want to never have to think about it for a while. Like, I really hope that the first time, at least once I have all the other 32 installed, which they won't get here till next week. But
sure.
I hope that the first time, and even with just 32, it would be great if I boot up Baldur's Gate 3 for the first time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take 2 minutes for all the textures to pop in. That would be great. Mm-hmm. I think that's a RAM thing. It might not be, but it would be really cool if I could boot up like Baldur's Gate 3 and all the textures are just there immediately.
Right.
That would be cool, because that also means like that was one of the things that really took me out of my first playthrough and sort of broke my immersion a little bit.
Yeah.
Was like
load times.
Yeah. Load times and like loading into the map for the first time, or loading into a new area and the world not existing.
Sure.
Because all the textures couldn't load in.
Well, what do you have on your old machine?
Just 16.
Just 16.
It was just 16 of DDR4.
Gotcha.
Which was at the time was more or less the oh, I was like, what made that noise? It was your glasses.
My glasses
falling.
fell, yeah.
At the time when I bought my computer that I have now, I mean, but that's I guess that's technically, I mean, yeah, I still have the computer we are recording this on.
Right.
At the time that I bought, DDR4 was the standard and still relatively new, I think.
Okay.
And 5 only came about like last year.
So once you get the new RAM, you're gonna have an extra stick then.
Yeah, I will. I'll have the stick that already is not in there.
Right.
The thing about these generations of RAM, though, is they are not interchangeable.
Sure.
If you have one stick of DDR4,
yeah,
all the others need to be DDR4.
Gotcha.
You can't mix and match between the generations.
So what is this?
This is 5.
This is 5, and that's DDR4.
Yes.
So you'll get 2 more sticks of DDR5.
Yes, they've been ordered and on the way. And what that does mean though is I have the original 16 that came in this machine.
Right.
That was in there when it arrived today. And I pulled that out and put the 2 Corsair sticks in, because they're also probably better quality RAM sticks anyway. Sure. Because Corsair is kind of the top of the line as far as like RAM goes. So they'll probably be See,
I have DDR for PS2.
Yeah. Do you put the pad down on the floor?
Yeah, I do. I try to play Mortal Kombat that way, by the way. It is fantastic.
With the dance pad.
A dance pad? Yeah. It's hard.
Really?
Yeah.
Playing a game that's meant to be used with a controller is difficult to play on a dance pad?
It is. You get exhausted real fast.
I never would have thought that would be the case.
Trying to do Sub-Zero special moves? You get a cramp right away.
I never thought that would be difficult. Speaking of things that were difficult, when this computer arrived, it had, to keep all of the parts inside, more or less immobilized.
Yeah.
It had that newfangled, expanding foam packs or whatever.
Oh, sure.
Where, you can
inside the cabinet.
Yeah. Where, it just sort of expands to a certain volume inside these bags.
Right.
And that was fine for one of the bags. The other bag, however, because there is a big open space in this computer where there's just nothing.
Right.
There's fuck all there. There's a huge open space, essentially the end of the graphics card is pretty much parallel with the end of the motherboard as well. And then there's about another solid 6 inches of case where on one side is 2 big fans, and that whole area is just for airflow. There's a huge empty space in there.
Right.
And there was one of those packing bags in there. But it had expanded to the point where I could not fucking get it out because it was stuck behind the graphics card. So I had to, the foam on the inside is very fragile, so I had to sit there for several minutes crushing up the foam inside the bag so I could get it out of the goddamn case.
Well, that's fun.
I guess I could have looked at the case manual and figured out a way to like maybe remove some of the extra glass on the outside. But I didn't want to do that because the only panel that's clearly and like obviously made to be removed is this one, you know,
Sure.
on the biggest side, or not the biggest side, but the side of the computer that's facing me right now, which is useless information to people who are listening to this.
Exactly, because it's audio. Yeah.
But there's one a big glass side that is easily openable with. There's only one screw actually. There's one screw up on the top, and then it's got two little like rubber pegs that go into holes.
Sure.
And then you just sort of set it into a little groove on the bottom, and then put it into the little holes, and then you screw it shut.
Neat.
Yeah. So I'm also hoping, because this came with it's got all kinds of pretty lights on so many of the parts. So many of the fans have got pretty lights on them.
Yeah.
And it has a little remote to control what color they are. I hope that system works because. It seems like I have terrible luck with PCs.
Yeah.
In the sense that, of course, we've talked about all the things that have gone wrong for me acquiring this one.
Right.
The one that I have here is the one on the floor that's running right now.
Right.
Is actually the second of this model that I had ordered, because the first one, 5 years ago or whatever, when I bought it, arrived and there was something wrong with the RAM.
Oh.
And me, knowing even less, I just ended up sending it back.
Right.
And getting it replaced because I had no idea how to interact with any of that. And so the second one arrived. The first one, the RGB, the lights and everything worked perfectly.
This one, it doesn't.
This one, it has never worked. And I don't know why. I don't know what in there is not like hooked up or connected to so that it doesn't work, but the RGB lights in this case have never functioned.
Sure.
And I don't know why. So I'm hoping that this one does, because I think it's just cool. It's neat.
Right. It's not necessary.
It's not necessary, but it looks cool. This one, I haven't lifted the one that's running in a long time.
Yeah.
So I don't remember how much it actually weighs. I don't remember it being anywhere near as heavy as this fucking behemoth.
Okay.
This thing, it probably weighs a little bit less now that it's out of the box, and some of that was packing. And there's a keyboard that came with it that I'm never going to use, and a mouse that came with it that I'm never going to use. So this probably weighs. Now, without those peripherals and without the packing in the boxes, it still probably weighs a solid 45 pounds.
Sure.
Because like the exterior, like this is metal. Like it's actual glass too. Like all the transparent part are tempered glass.
Right.
And then everything, this whole solid chunk down here, there's a bunch of fans down there too. Like down on the bottom, there's fans. There's fans up on the top. The water hoses lead up there for the liquid cooling on the CPU. So I don't know if there's some reservoir in there as well. But yeah, this thing is a fucking tank. So
now my question is, where are you going to hook it into the plumbing?
I feel like that's got to be a thing in like huge like think tanks and stuff, or like
server rooms,
like tech companies that have massive server rooms,
like YouTube.
That's got to be a thing, right? Where they're like the cooling system is just part of the plumbing.
You would think, yeah.
Like that's got to be a thing.
And then when they take showers there at the Google headquarters, the hot water is just from the server room.
The server room,
right?
I feel like that would be probably more energy efficient than what I assume all of the like the way that fucking crypto miners do it, where they like have it be in a refrigerated room,
right?
Where they have they electrically cool all of the shit. That just seems horrifically wasteful.
Yeah, but they're mining crypto.
Yeah, which is totally not a waste of time and money and effort and hardware. But yeah, I don't know how like NASA keeps their supercomputers and shit cool. I'm fairly certain that the rooms themselves are also cold, but I imagine they probably use like liquid nitrogen or some shit. I do remember, because whenever I think of like a room like that with these massive computers in them, I always think of the movie The Martian, where Donald Glover's character is like a physicist that works for NASA.
Right.
And he is like doing some sort of calculations relating to getting Matt Damon's character back to Earth. And he goes down to their, massive bank of computers or whatever and sits there, and he's wearing like a parka.
Right.
At least I think I remember that scene. I maybe just made it up.
It might be just revisionist history in your brain.
Like that's the whole Mandela effect.
Right.
Where people think they remember something some way.
Right. I remember that scene where he's shirtless in a parking garage
and executing people.
Yeah.
And dancing.
Yeah. And catch you slipping now.
Yeah. Yeah, that was in The Martian, right?
That was from The Martian, right?
Or was that in Community?
Him and Abed.
Or was that in Solo? Or was it in Atlanta? What are other shows that Childish Gambino has been in? I do love that everyone is just extreme, like everyone who kind of knows, who sort of knows anything. It's just sort of not a big, like, there's never any issue with like, oh, if he's acting, he's Donald Glover. If he's doing music, he's Childish Gambino. Like we all understand the difference.
Exactly.
Like everyone's respectful about that.
And I like where he got his name.
Yeah, it was just a Wu-Tang Clan name generator.
Right, exactly. Childish Gambino. And I also love the fact that his Twitter handle was very first.
Dong Lover.
Yeah, Dong Lover.
Is that not still his Twitter handle?
No, he changed that.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, because also, I mean, his middle name starts with a G, doesn't it? That's why it was. His
Don Glover?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I was thinking
Don G Lover.
I was thinking Lover at the end instead of Glover, which is his actual last name. I was adding in an extra letter where it didn't need to be. Yeah, so I'm excited to get this thing set up.
Yes.
Hopefully it won't take very long. I am also I'm not excited for this. In fact, I'm kind of like dreading it a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is having to open up Edge in order to install Chrome,
right? And
having to click through Edge begging for its life. Like, just give it up. Don't give me all this bullshit. Don't just go out with dignity, okay? You're embarrassing yourself.
I'm just imagining you in the room with Edge there holding the pillow going, shh.
Well, see, no, it's me. I've got Edge is on its knees.
Sure.
Facing away from me. I've got the gun held to the back of its head.
Okay.
And Edge is just blubbering and crying. There's snot coming out. Just absolutely losing it. And I'm standing back there like, come on, man. You don't want to go out like this.
Right.
Come on. Go out with some dignity. Pull yourself together, okay? Is this really what you want the last thing anybody remembers of you to be like? I'm just going full Mike Ehrmantraut on this fucking browser. Here's what you're gonna do, Edge. You're gonna stop fucking talking, and then you're gonna install Chrome, and then we're never gonna see each other again. All right. I need Jonathan Banks to go to Microsoft and tell them how it's going to be.
Do we call you Mike or Michael? Mr. Ehrmantraut.
Oh, Mike Ehrmantraut is he's such a perfect character.
Yeah.
He's so good. I still have never finished Better Call Saul.
Really? Because it's over now.
Yeah,
you can watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I could really binge it now. And I really ought to. That might be one of those things that's worth getting on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Get a Blu-ray collection of the whole series or whatever.
Get all 7 seasons of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
And then just binge the whole thing.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, that's a lot of good television, but it's also a lot of television.
It's a lot of television.
I mean, it's not as much as, say, compared to like Cheers.
Right.
There was that period in college where my roommate and I were trying to watch all of Cheers, and then we were going to watch all of Frasier.
Right, yeah.
And we got through about half of Cheers and went, we want to watch something else.
Right.
Which also, depending upon who you ask, about halfway through Cheers is kind of about where you can stop anyway.
Yeah.
I did kind of feel like the show really did lose something when Diane left.
Yeah.
Shelley Long brought something to the table.
A certain heart to it.
It was terrible and sad when Coach's actor passed away.
Yeah.
But Woody Harrelson was fantastic.
Right.
Woody Harrelson was a great addition and instantaneously became a natural part of the show.
Yes.
But something was just off after Shelley Long left.
Mm-hmm.
Frasier and the extra additions to the show that would go on to be a part of his show never quite felt natural to me on Cheers.
Rebecca from Cheers passed away, didn't she?
That would be oh no, Kirstie Alley.
Kirstie Alley, yeah.
Yeah, I believe
Kirstie Alley passed away.
I believe you're correct. I believe she passed away. But yeah, like Kirstie Alley Lilith shows up on Cheers, doesn't she?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's where we meet Lilith.
Yeah. We didn't get very far into those seasons with Lilith showing up, and it's just And then after that was when we started watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine after that.
A very good show.
Very good show. Fantastic. And now I'm sad about Andre Braugher again.
Yes.
That was like out of various celebrities that have passed away in recent memory, when I opened up my phone and saw that, I went, oh, no, come on.
Yeah.
When I saw it, like, it was a picture of him, and then I was like, why is there a big picture of Andre? No. No, not Captain Holt.
Terrible.
That made me, that bummed me out pretty bad.
The name of your adult
I'm trying to remember the way he says that in the last episode. The name of your adult
porn film.
The name of your, I think it was he said title of your sex movie.
The title of your sex movie. That was it. Yeah.
Did I do it right? And then Peralta's just like, it was perfect.
It was perfect.
Zima, hey, stop messing with chords. Get out. Don't ignore me, young lady. Okay. Anyway, well, we've put this off for long enough.
Let's talk about the great success that was Hellhammer.
So Hellhammer was a Swiss extreme metal band.
Yes.
I believe that they were technically founded in 1983.
Yes, I believe so.
And then they were around for a bit. They put out this EP, Apocalyptic Raids. Actually, they recorded this EP. By the time it was out, they had already broken up.
Right.
Hellhammer was no longer a thing by the time this was available to
1984, people. Right. And then they'd already started to reform and become, it was Martin and Tom became Celtic Frost.
They were in the process of forming Celtic Frost. And they I was reading some stuff sort of about the legacy of Hellhammer, at least in regards to Celtic Frost. And there was a very long time, early in Celtic Frost's career where they were all kind of just trying to forget that Hellhammer was ever a thing. Like it was an embarrassment to them. And I think it was sort of not until they realized sort of how much of an impact it actually ended up having that their feelings on it began to change, and they eventually reissued the album with 2 extra songs on it.
6 years later.
Yeah, in 1990. But Hellhammer, this album and the band in general were definitely not well received at the time by pretty much anybody. At least any official publication, anybody doing reviews, anything like that. Kind of nobody liked Hellhammer.
Except for people who are exchanging tapes.
Yeah, except for random people who would eventually go on to form their own bands. Some of them, but the voices that are on record in publication that are available are pretty much universally negative. About Hellhammer in general and about this album especially. And to the degree that, like, for the first few Celtic Frost releases, they would get reviews being like, yeah, they still haven't people think they've grown past Hellhammer, but they still suck. And like people knowing that Celtic Frost was the guys from Hellhammer, like Tom Warrior kind of felt like Hellhammer was sort of hanging over their heads because people were aware of the connection. And then regardless of the quality of the music for Celtic Frost, that sort of stain that, oh, these are the guys from Hellhammer would sort of stain the album for anybody listening to it. And even if it was better, they weren't willing to give it a chance the way they might have if they had no idea that they were connected or had been members of Hellhammer beforehand. I'm going to skip ahead to the score section. So I didn't look around for like retroactive reviews of this. Yeah. Cause I also don't know if that would have been conducive to actually getting numbers. Cause it probably would have just been people talking about like the influence that it has had. Sure. Rather than like necessarily reviewing the album itself. But the one review that had information on Wikipedia was from the Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal, who gave it a 1 out of 10. This album got a 10% from the Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal, and I thought that was worth mentioning. I don't know when that review was issued. I don't know if that was I don't know if that was later, long after this album came out, or if it was just something that Wikipedia, whoever, wrote the article for Wikipedia, was able to access. That was a review from 1984, and it was just the only one they could find on the internet. Yeah. That had been, whoever that magazine had put their database of reviews on the internet or something like that. I don't know, but that was the only one on the Wikipedia page, and I just thought that was worth mentioning.
And I remember my thoughts on this when I listened to it, which I did listen to it several times because there's something about it that was almost charming and entertaining about that for me. And then I remember thinking, you know what I kind of like best about this? It's really short.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. Well, because I was listening to it after I got home. Yeah. Because I popped over to Best Buy to see if they had any RAM, and I got I got my 2 things and then popped home, hauled the heavy ass refrigerator of a computer up the stairs. Yeah. And then popped my headphones in, and while I was opening things up and going to install the RAM, I was listening to it, and I remember, I think I was in the middle of like unpacking still, and the song and Messiah, I think is the last song. Right. Yeah. Messiah got done with, and then then there was quiet after that, and I was like, wait, is the album over? Wait, was that it? And because I hadn't looked to see how many songs, I hadn't hardly looked at how many songs there were and how long it was. Right. I just, pushed play on the first song and then put my phone away. And so I opened it, I was like, 20, wait, it's been 27 minutes? It just sort of flew by. Right. And so I listened to it over again simply because it was so short. I will say, if it was an hour. Yeah. Of these songs, I would not have listened to it a second time. Certainly not. I would not have given it. I'm actually
going to lend you a lot of credit for having done it anyway.
Okay, I'm happy to know that. So let's get your Let's get you, because you will probably be more positive about this than I will be. Let's get your thoughts on this album.
Well, okay, my thoughts on this album. I had it on vinyl, and I had a record player at the time. I think I had 4 records. One of which
this was one of them.
This was one of them, and this was a gift. This was a gift from my friend Doug. I think when I turned 18, he got me this, and he got me a couple of porno mags. One of which was called Fat Fucks.
Wow,
which is a real, and it was. I mean, it's a real magazine. I'm like, why did you buy me this? Doug?
Not even bothering to be like big, beautiful women. No. Fat fucks.
Yeah, that's the name of it.
That's horrible.
It was. And then there was another one with just hairy women in it. And
why? Did he just as a joke?
I don't understand Doug. I never will understand Doug.
Was it a joke? Did he think that's what you liked? Was he going like, hey, this is what I like, so obviously other people must like this too?
I don't know. And we never discussed it.
I see.
He just gave me this album, and he got me these 2 magazines, and this is the same guy when I got a car for graduating high school. He had already been divorced, and he was like, hey, what? Can I drive your new car? I want to see what it's like. And yeah, it's a 4-speed. Cool, it's great. And then his ex-wife pulled up alongside of us, and he rammed her with my new car.
Oh, Doug.
Yeah.
Oh, Doug. Is Doug still with us?
Doug is still alive. He lives.
Out of all of the people you know and have told me about, from what you just told me,
yeah,
I would have guessed Doug would have been. No, he's dead now. Would have been a classic.
No, yeah.
The punchline to so many of your stories are he's dead now.
Yeah,
but Doug is still with us.
Doug is apparently still, and I saw him like probably about 15 years ago. He showed up at my house where I was living with my wife at the time.
Yeah,
he said, "Can we go for a drive?" And it was another classic drive with Doug, where he's like, I hate my life, and everybody treats me poorly, and I don't understand women, and everything's terrible. And he was just the whole time, and I'm like, if I just pull the lever on the door and I go shoulder first, I could probably survive the landing.
Get out of here.
I could get out of this car.
Well, Doug, if you're listening, I hope you're doing better now.
I hope he is. I hope he's matured. I hope he's. I doubt it. I really doubt it.
I hope he's well.
He's in his early 50s now, and
I mean, if you ever see him again, at least for me, you have to ask him why he got you those magazines specifically.
Yeah, I never did. We never discussed it. I'm like, thanks, Doug.
Like those magazines specifically. I have to know why.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is the answer will either be fascinating or be incredibly disappointing, and either way, I think there is entertainment to be found in that.
Right. There was entertainment to be found in this album, though. I played this for my friends several times, and everybody was just bewildered by listening to this.
Did you like it, or was there an element of irony to it?
There was a small element of irony to it. And you know what? Okay, there's actually one song on here that gets stuck in my head occasionally.
Okay.
Because it is the only, quote, extreme metal song I think I've ever heard that's mostly in a fucking major key.
Which song was that?
That'd be Massacra.
Massacra, okay.
If you listen to it again, you realize that it's in
major.
It's in a major key.
That's bizarre.
Mostly, yeah.
I don't remember what song it was, but there is a song on here that has a riff on it. I swear to God, I have heard before.
Yeah,
and it sounds like it's note for note an extremely popular a riff from some extremely popular song. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The song is, I believe, "Set Me Free" by oh my God, why am I forgetting the name of the band? They also did Ballroom Blitz.
Oh shit. I'll just look it up here really quick. Ballroom Blitz. Ballroom Blitz is Sweet.
Sweet.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was Sweet.
Yes. How did I forget Sweet? But yeah, the opening, I can't remember what the name of the song is. The opening to it sounds just like the opening to Set Me Free by Sweet.
I don't know if that's what I was thinking of. The riff that I'm thinking of is in the middle of one of these songs. but I don't remember which one it was. But all I know is that there was a riff somewhere. I think it might have been somewhere in Triumph of Death.
Sure.
There's a riff in there somewhere. So we'll get a little bit into my thoughts on this. It was bearable. I will say, far and away, my least favorite part of this is because these are Tom Warrior's vocals, right? He's the vocalist.
Yes. And the bass player is American, by the way.
Oh wow,
Martin Ain.
But anyway,
living in
Tom's vocals on so many parts of this, he'll go between he's doing kind of the gruff metal thing, but since he's Swiss, speaking English, it just sounds like fucking mush.
Right.
So much of the time, it just sounds like absolute mush, like complete and total fucking nonsense. He's not even really screaming. He's just he's doing sort of the gruff metal singing that, could be like a slightly more evil and sort of goblin-y sort of sounding version of that, but ultimately not that much different from something you would hear, thrash metal.
Sure.
In thrash metal at the time. But when he's not doing that, he sounds like he is either taking the world's most painful shit or having the world's most unpleasant orgasm. And that's basically all of the vocals on the song Triumph of Death.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
The entirety of that song is just him going,
actually, to me, it sounds like he just woke up and he's doing the biggest stretch.
Oh, it's so unpleasant the entire time. Like honestly, it might not be a choice between, or a difference between having the world's most unpleasant orgasm and taking the world's most painful shit. It's both at the same time. It's happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's bad to listen to. And
so it's a TG Warrior Blumpkin is what we're hearing.
It's a TG Warrior. God. That's like the worst tea kettle laugh I've ever had. Oh my God. That just deleted my entire brain. But yeah, it's like it's a worse version of a thing I already don't like, which is like the way that the vocals are done on a lot of early Ghost Bath stuff, like honestly, kind of everything before their most recent album, which I actually enjoyed quite a lot. Yeah. But before then, the main thing that keeps me from liking their music so much is the vocals, where they do this sort of like this wailing cry, which, if you're into that, I can see it being really like, it's really emotional. But to me, it just sounds like, it kind of sounds like someone going, wah! And I'm just like, that I don't care for that. But oddly enough, when I went to, the time they performed live in Minot, they might have actually done another one since then. I don't know.
Yeah.
But when I went and saw them live here in town, I had an amazing time. But part of that is just because the vocals were mixed so low. Right. But yeah, I much prefer the more traditional style of vocals that they did on their most recent album.
Sure.
And they still brought that back occasionally, and I think it works much better as like an isolated, like occasional bit of stuff rather than the primary method of vocal delivery on an entire album. Like they still had a couple of those on their most recent album, the name of which escapes me.
Yeah.
But before then, that was all the vocals were, and I just did not care for it.
I would totally name an album that.
What?
The name of which escapes me.
The name of which escapes me.
What you listening to?
It's an album, the name of which escapes me.
Aren't you holding it?
By some band.
Yeah, some band.
Yeah, so Hellhammer, do you think this album slaps?
No.
I agree. I kind of agree. You know what occurred to me several times? The thought occurred to me several times is this kind of sounds like the fake metal that would be playing in the background of like a TV show or a movie made by people who don't know or care about metal.
Right.
Like it has all of the hallmarks of like metal stereotypes. Of like vocals that don't make any sense.
Yeah.
Lyrics that don't make any sense, but occasionally you'll hear the word Satan.
Right.
There's one guitar solo that I heard it and went, aw, they really tried. And it's not even that the solo, like by the numbers, by the notes, the solo wasn't bad. It's just that it was terribly off time. It was weirdly off time. And it was like, you couldn't have another go at that. I know you made this for very little money in 1984, but you didn't have another try at that? Were you about to run out of tape? Is that why? Like,
right. They had 30 minutes to record it, and it's a 27-minute album.
Yeah.
So they had to no redos.
No redos. We just gotta power through. But it was it felt like it felt fake. It felt like but the reason for that is because this would be the kind of like things can feel like that sometimes. It's sort of the Seinfeld effect, or at least a part of the Seinfeld effect. Normally, when people are talking about the Seinfeld effect, or a trope, for example, of Seinfeld isn't funny anymore,
right?
When people are talking about that, it's because Seinfeld, when it comes to a sitcom about a bunch of terrible people who kind of don't do anything, it's classically a show about nothing,
right?
They were the first one. More or less.
Sure.
They were the archetype. And so, someone who's my age might not find Seinfeld very funny because every sitcom they have ever seen growing up was building upon the formula that Seinfeld had established.
Right.
And doing more stuff. And so Seinfeld just feels like basic white bread.
Right.
By comparison, because it hadn't had all the other ingredients piled up on top of it yet. This is sort of like the musical version of that. But instead of like, oh, the original version was really good, the original version was just very basic, and very like unrefined, basic and unrefined. There are some things, especially in metal, which are unrefined, but anything from basic and like anything but basic.
Sure.
This I think is both. I would argue it is both basic and it is unrefined.
Yes.
There's not a lot of particularly complicated or necessarily competent musicianship going on here. There's not a lot of like crazy inventive songwriting, but what it is a combination of sort of elements and atmosphere and little bits and pieces that give this album a vibe. And I think the vibe was maybe the most important part of it going forward.
Right.
Of something that sounds kind of evil, it's kind of dark. Like even if you look at a picture of the members of the band, you go like, that's a black metal band. Yeah. You see they got the bullet belt, the belt of bullets as a belt.
They get the bracers.
They got the bracers, they got the face paint. Like it's all like so many of the elements are there. You can point at it and go, that's black metal. And you can listen to this. And even if you don't necessarily like, I think people my age are probably much more familiar with second wave black metal, where like if you hear something and you are able to identify it as black metal, it is almost certainly going to be second wave stuff.
Right.
Like if you're my age and you haven't like made an effort to go back and listen to first wave stuff, if something came on, you might not be able to identify it and be like, that's black metal. I feel like you could listen to this. Mm-hmm. You could play this to someone who has an understanding of what second wave black metal is, but maybe doesn't listen to it.
Yeah.
You could play them and they go like, is this really early black metal? I feel like that could happen.
Sure.
In a way that like maybe some other bands it might not happen with, where they're just kind of more evil sounding heavy metal.
Right. Like Venom
or like Merciful Fate or something like that, where it's like, this is just heavy metal that's a little eviler than something like Iron Maiden. This, I don't know. I didn't have a, do you have a favorite song on here?
Well, like I said, the one that comes into my head is Massacra. Also, Messiah is okay.
Yeah. I did not write down a favorite song. Just because I don't think I could choose. Not for the usual reason. Like usually, if I can't choose a favorite song, it's because I liked all of them equally.
You couldn't favor a song on here.
It is technically true that I like all of them equally. It's just that I don't like any of them very much. So that is technically true.
Yes.
To say that I like them all equally. That's not true. There are some that I do dislike more. Which is definitely the case for
Triumph of Death.
Triumph of Death. I definitely dislike Triumph of Death more than the other ones. So I guess it is not true that I like all of them equally. What metal do you bestow upon apocalyptic raids like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca?
I feel like we're about to have a first in our 5 years here.
All right,
probably good.
3, 2, 1. Bronze. See, I was I was almost willing. I kind of wanted to I kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
And if you had felt really positively about it and were able to like talk it up to me a little bit and be like make me maybe think about and appreciate parts of it a little bit more.
I wouldn't shit you that way.
like if if you had done something like that, then I maybe would have been willing to say a low silver. But I think we're both
right. I mean, this to me was a novelty at the time.
Yeah.
And then I listened to it, a few more times, and I have since. By the way, if you looked at the cover, look at the cover art again. You have the cover art in front of you. That picture right there.
Yeah. The goat fella.
Yeah. Look more closely at it.
I'm gonna have to open it up and zoom in.
There you go. Can you zoom in?
Not really. No.
Oh.
I'm just going to get my face really close to the screen.
Okay, get your face really close to the screen and notice something interesting about that picture.
Oh, he's got a big old penis.
He's got a huge schlong.
He got a big old schlong.
I didn't notice that.
Weirdly skinny. Like it's hanging, but it's like, it looks like a noodle.
Yeah, it's just a really long noodle dick.
Yeah, it's... Huh. Yeah. I mean, he has a weird skinny demon thing with almost like... I mean, his head looks less like a skull and more like a misshapen jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, something like that.
But... yeah, I never would have noticed the penis.
Yeah, it took me a long time to until I looked at the album cover because I had the full LP.
Yeah,
I mean, well, it's an EP, but
it was the full the slip cover.
Yeah, and you look at it, and you go, oh Jesus! They drew a big dick on this guy.
He's got a big old. Look at that hog. So yeah, those are our thoughts about apocalyptic raids.
Yeah.
Next week, we're going to be listening to something that I feel like we'll have something more positive to say.
Yes, and I know we're going to listen to. I'm actually looking forward to it. I've heard part of it already.
It is the newest album from Minnesota's own Kentucky-born one-man black metal project.
King Diamond.
Yeah. King Diamond, famously born in Kentucky,
Yes.
lives in Minnesota. No, the latest album from Panopticon, which came out November 29th,
right,
2023.
A little over a month ago.
The Rime of Memory. That's rhyme as in a covering of ice, R-I-M-E.
Right.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to this as well. I've listened to it just a little bit.
You haven't listened to it all the way through
I haven't listened to it all the way through yet. There's just been other things coming up left and right. There's been games coming out. There's been other albums coming out that we've been listening to and talking about. And I knew this was coming up. And so it just sort of kept slipping by me. And especially like at work, I listen to audiobooks so much at work now. I don't listen to music at work nearly as much as I used to, because I'm guzzling audiobooks.
Right.
Yeah, this will be. I've listened to a bit of it, and I was enjoying it.
Sure,
but I never got all the way through it. So I'm excited to have some time dedicated to this.
He's not making beer anymore, is he? Not at all.
I don't think so. It was up in the air towards the end of COVID. I know they closed their tap room,
right,
at the very least. I don't know if they're still doing. There was talk at the time when they closed the tap room that they were going to be having their recipes made under license at other breweries.
Yeah,
I don't know if that like went through. I never got a chance to try any Hammerheart stuff when the tap room was open. As I haven't looked that up since like last year or whenever, when I was looking that up to see if that was still open. But yeah, COVID kind of, as one might expect, COVID sort of put the kibosh on that.
Right.
And they were a new business at the time already, so it was even tougher, even rougher for them.
Because you don't make money right away.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, we'll talk more about Panopticon and Austin Lunn next week.
Yes.
But until then, why don't you go ahead and follow us on Facebook or the website formerly known as Twitter, or go ahead and subscribe to our feed on whatever service you're using to listen to us right now, whatever that may be. So thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.